We are here. Get used to it. We're going to talk about all kinds of news. Man, it's been a busy news week. So welcome back. Buckle up. Get inside. It's time for Fantasy Whiplash. And we're going right now. Hey, welcome up, my peoples. It has been a busy news week, and I am here with my buddy Joe, the Glizzy Gladiator, the Judge Jody, if you will. And we're going to talk about this news and how it affects the draft. So, Joe, why don't you tell everybody how you're doing?
Hey man, we're doing good. Shout out to my wife. It's her birthday today, but that don't stop the football world. She's already asleep, which is good for Browns fans because then they can dream about things like Super Bowls that they will never win. But
That's right.
We're doing good. It's good to be here. And somehow every time that I'm on this show, the graphics get better. So whoever's doing all this stuff, like shout out to them because that intro was bumping.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was good. And actually, the thumbnail of us with our we've
That was electric.
we've since removed our suits, obviously, but yeah, that was that's shout out to Brittany at PlayerProfiler for putting that together.
Oh, Brittany's my girl. She's awesome. Yeah, those were hilarious. I don't wear a tie after 8. That's my rule. But I mean, next time.
Yeah, Brittany is she's a dream, and she does all of our graphics. And actually, that video at the beginning came to us from another source, and it just wasn't quite there. And I was like, Brittany, do you think you can do something with this? And she's like, well, let me try. And when she got done, I was like, this is way better. Way better. So, Joe, it's been a busy news week.
I know. Anybody that's gotten arrested in the past year, like they're like, we're going to figure it out. Let's go.
Right. And before we get to all of that, I just want to remind everybody to do all the YouTube stuff. Please do like the video so we can get seen by more people. Put some comments in there after we're done and gone. Ask questions, whatever you want to do. Give us a follow on the old tweet machine too. You can find me at Buy and Sell You, and you can find Joe at JOEFRK.
Yeah, sorry, man. Somebody already had the Joe Frick handle way back in the day, so it's just been it's been my go-to. Any social media, you can find me there if you want to see like pretty much anything. It's all the same. So
Joe Furk.
I just found out a lot of college
Buy and Sell You on everything, Sleeper and all that jazz.
I've been really disappointed. I just found out on College Football 26. Apparently, my name is a slur, so I can't be myself in video games now.
What?
Yeah.
It's a slur? Frick is a slur?
It's a bad word. So you might need to go. This is not suitable for content for children because I'm on the show. So sorry.
We'll cover up for it. But yeah, anybody, please do like and comment and let us know what you do like, what you don't like. This is going to be an interesting video because contrary to what we've been doing the last couple weeks, when we've been trying to, get further into speaking of specific players and their ADPs, and especially players that have switched teams and whatnot. And this is going to give you a little more of an idea of what Whiplash is going to be like during the season. We're really going to hit the news hard. We're going to talk injuries, benchings, changes in the starting lineups, and then of course all the necessary ingredients like who to pick up on waivers, who to start, who to sit, all that jazz. So we got nothing to talk about tonight except for there's been a lot of stuff going on. There's been a lot going on. So I think we should just get right into it, and I think no one will be surprised that story number one is certainly Rashee Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs. He had that multiple car pileup. He was charged with 2 felonies. One is racing on a highway and then causing bodily harm. And another one is just an accident causing bodily harm. Never mind the fact that Rice also left the scene. I mean, it was a hit and run technically.
Not good.
We're waiting for the punishment to be handed down. The court told him he's got to serve a 30-day jail sentence, although it's been somewhat deferred. That's a thing they do in Texas. I don't quite understand it, but he's under no obligation right now to turn himself in, and I'm guessing that if he's on good enough behavior for the beginning of his 5-year probationary sentence, that he might be able to avoid that jail time. But now we wait for the NFL. So, Joe, what do you think the NFL is going to have to say about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest question going into the fantasy season is, will he get the suspension this year? So if we think about an ideal case scenario, you have a guy that had a pretty significant injury that ended his season last year. We thought, would this be a thing last year, and it suppressed his ADP a little bit? Then we go into this season. Are they going to figure it out? Is the court going to decide what they're going to do? They make that decision. Now that decision has been made, the NFL needs to turn around and make a decision. Almost in an ideal world, if you will, the earlier that the NFL decides, the better. Because there's a lot of uncertainty in the price right now. If you think about the first couple games that he had at the start of last year, it was like, oh, this guy is basically overtaking Kelsey. He's the number 1 receiver to have in that room. He's going to be an end of the first, second round guy that was what they were saying last year. Those first couple games, he had 10, 11 targets a game. He's a yak machine, has that big injury. And you're like, oh, I don't know. In an ideal case for me, I would rather have him serve that suspension at the start of the year. Gives him a little extra time to heal. You kind of knock this thing out, and then it's done for. I don't know if that happens. I mean, anybody that thinks that they do know is really just guessing. So, I mean, props to you so that you can tweet about it later and say, hey, I guessed right. But at the end of the day, he's sitting around the end of the 3rd, 4th round. If he does serve that suspension, at minimum, it's going to be 2 games. I think at max, it's going to be 4. So it's like, can you survive that? Because in my opinion, you need to win 7 games to make it to the playoffs in fantasy, right? Seed doesn't matter. In an ideal world, if you have a 12-team league, 6 teams make it to the playoffs, if you can secure that bye and get yourself into the money round, awesome. But otherwise, it's like you not having home field advantage in fantasy football doesn't mean anything. How do you get the best team come playoff time? Rashee Rice is one of those guys. I think one of the big decisions that fantasy football players will have to make this year is we saw the emergence of Xavier Worthy at the end of last year, especially as he came on as a rookie. They had more confidence in him in the offense. Him and Patrick Mahomes had that chemistry. There's folks out there that are saying hey, this guy could be top 5. He's going to take that Tyreek Hill role. We saw Tyreek Hill be so successful with Patrick Mahomes. But at the same time, I think there's something to be said about we saw what Rashee Rice could do. He had the same out burst at the end of his rookie season. He came in the next year, was dominating before he got hurt. So for me, I would say that I don't think I could take him in the third, fourth, fifth round. I have enough confidence in myself as a fantasy player to find ways to fill that roster so that when he does come back, if he gets suspended early, that like we can make it. And if it is later in the year, as long as it's not like in playoff time,
yeah,
I
as
mean,
long
you're
as it's not
stacking those
during the meat of the schedule.
right. And then to me, it's like, all right, like, well, you're going to be stacking wins with him because his value is suppressed because of that fear of the suspension. So I think the fourth round ADP is a smash for me. I like that a lot. I think like if you look at best ball, like him and Worthy are, I think, what was the numbers? They're back to back at this point. So it'll be interesting to see like where it ends up finishing for them. But I would rather take Rashee Rice over Worthy. I don't think that's a hot take, but that's just where, yeah, but that's where I feel, and I could understand where people could flip it, but I don't know. There was a lot of issues. I mean, if you look at the advanced stats for ESPN, like for like receivers, Xavier Worthy had a 0 for catch. It's like that's scary. There's only 3 guys that had a 0. Like that's not great. That doesn't mean that he's going to be a bust of a receiver, but he's somebody that I'd rather have like in a best ball format more so than say
that's exactly right. I don't think I would feel comfortable plugging him into a redraft lineup every single week. Possibly based on who they're playing against, so on and so forth. But in best ball, he's got that Pickens-esque kind of thing to him where when he booms huge. You know what I mean? But when he busts, it's like 3 catches for 40 yards, and you're wishing you put somebody else in the lineup. I mean, putting up Wan'Dale Robinson numbers, I think it's also interesting, obviously, when he sits out, and I agree with you, I tend to think it's going to be at the beginning of the season. The Chiefs have come out and said it's happening this season. They just don't know exactly when yet.
Right.
But, obviously Worthy and Hollywood Brown are going to be mainstays in fantasy managers' lineups. And I'm actually looking also at Jalen Royals. They just drafted him and they have nowhere to put him. But the Chiefs coaching staff was so enamored with him for being able, specifically, they said this, for being able to do a lot of the same things that Rashee Rice does. Do I think he's as good as Rashee Rice? I don't. And especially not as a rookie. But, that could be one where people are either going to race to the waivers, or if maybe you pick up Royals when the suspension comes down and give it a try. But it's going to be interesting to see. I mostly agree with you. It'll be at least 2. You said at most 4. I teeter back and forth on this. I think it could end at 4. I think that they could come out and say it's a 6-game suspension.
Yeah.
Just because this is a dual felony and he fled the scene. That just doesn't look good.
Who among us has not?
Yeah. But even if they give him 6 games, he'll appeal it. He'll probably get it down to 4. So I agree with you that I don't think he's going to serve more than 4, but I don't think he's going to serve less either.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting situation, but I mean, the hard part's going to be, I don't think he's going to get 30 days in the hole. Shout out to my boys from way back in the day, Humble Pie. But I don't see him serving that. Like I don't see it happening. Like they'll find a way to get him out of it. Like famous people are really good at that. But he's been a full go at camp. They are not like holding back and being like, oh, like what's our backup plan? Like they're going full steam ahead. And if they can get all the calls from the refs, why couldn't they get all the calls from the courts as well?
That's true, and they are the Chiefs after all, and we know their history of being looked on favorably by all parties. I will say, as kind of a parting shot on this, that Andy Reid did come out the other day and say Rashee will take part in all of the mini camp,
right?
Until he can't anymore, basically, until somebody says you can. He's going to take part in all that, and he is showing no lingering effects of the injury that knocked him out in week 7 last year. I think it was week 7. And so, and that's a good thing too, because that means whenever he does come back, like there's no question about the injury. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
So I think that's a big deal too. We'll talk about somewhat of a related case, since we're talking about people being arrested. And we'll talk about Jordan Addison from the Vikings. He had a quote unquote dog emergency.
Is that with the O or with the AW?
You know what? I'm not sure. They printed it as DOG, but I don't know. But yeah, he had a dog emergency first. This was his first run-in with the law when he was going 140 and a 55 in his Lambo SUV. So that dog must have been really hurting.
How fortunate. Like if I had a dog and they were in a situation like my 2014 Chevy Malibu, like would not be able to hit 140 in that situation.
Yeah, your dog would be
how blessed are you? Like you getting the best of the best right there.
That's right. And then more recently in July was when was it this past July?
It was last year. It was last year
that he got 2 misdemeanors for reckless driving, and he blew over a .08. So obviously he was over the legal limit. Although I didn't see any actual number.
No, I didn't see the number, but I'm pretty sure he fell asleep and like was parked somewhere. And then they found him, and like I think like
that's correct. That's correct. Drunk. Yeah, they did. He was asleep in the car, so I don't know. Maybe he was just sleeping that buzz off. But he was like on a highway or something, though.
Yeah, that doesn't really scream player safety, but I mean, it is what it is.
But he pleaded down to a wet and reckless, which, for anybody that's, I was in the restaurant industry for years and years. Wet and reckless is like that's what you get on the first time. It's a slap on the wrist. It doesn't matter how bad you blow, unless you're like 3 times the legal limit in some states. They're more than willing to plead it down to a wet and reckless. So the NFL, their thing is any sort of reckless driving involving alcohol, which is what they eventually called him guilty of. And he admitted to having used alcohol. Because of that, they said it's a minimum 3-game suspension for a first-time offender. I find it really hard to believe they're going to hold him out for 3 games. How about you?
I don't know. Like, I feel like the NFL is all about keeping the shield protected. And it's like they didn't really do anything about the dog emergency. So I feel like they're almost like combining all of it into one. Right. So it's like if they're doing it, it's not like we had this thing happen. It was an isolated incident. They're like, you make bad decisions with your vehicle, and like that makes us uncomfortable. And it's happened multiple times. Like, why didn't you transfer to Georgia if you were going to act like this?
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Like, you can't do this in our league. Like, let's make it happen. So I do think that the 3 games does have legs to it. But I think the thing for me, and like I've been on record for this quite a bit, Morik, man, I mean, you can't fall asleep, especially like when you can get a McDouble, like maybe like you can't be doing that. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm a certified JJ McCarthy hater, which is really conflicting with me because I think that Kevin O'Connell is one of the best coaches in the league, and he's made such good quarterbacks out of things that shouldn't be good quarterbacks. So it's like, where does my brain, like, how do we compute like both of these things that are like conflicting? We'll see. But I think that it's like, all right, so if you think about that offense, you have Justin Jefferson, one of, if not the best receiver in the game. TJ Hawkinson, he's going to be coming off his 2nd year from the ACL, which is a nonlinear recovery for that injury. He's going to be really full go this season. Safety blanket for your rookie. So, like, where does Addison fit? But it's like he's also a Biletnikoff winner. He basically got Kenny Pickett way more money than he ever should have. So it's like it's not like the dude lacks talent by any means. He has more touchdowns than Jefferson in the last 2 years, if you look back since he's been in the league. So it's like the talent is there, but like, how does it fit into that offense? Can he do what Sam Darnold did, who nobody really had faith in Sam Darnold going into last season? I traded Sam Darnold before the season for Keenan Allen. That was a backfire. But at the time, I was like, I don't know. Like, you really were afraid of ghosts and all this other stuff.
Right.
But it's going to be interesting. So right now, Jordan Addison, wide receiver 36 on Underdog. That's right in the area of like Chris Olave, Juwan Jennings, Chris Godwin, Jerry Jeudy. Like, do I really feel better about those guys than the offense with the top 5 offensive line with this great offensive coach? Like, I don't know if I can get away from him. It's a hard evaluation for me.
Well, I'm a certified Olave hater because every 10 minutes he gets a headache and pulls an Amber Heard and shits the bed.
Oh, you said that because Angie just posted in the comments, no Amber Heard reference. Man, you're slick. You're slick. I see it. What's up, Angie, by the way? Happy belated birthday.
Oh, yeah. Happy belated, Angie. Everybody sing to your computer wherever you are. Yeah, I don't know. I tend to think it's going to be the same as Rice, where they might give him that 3 games for a first offense. He'll appeal it, probably get it down to 2. I think maybe even 1. But it also is going to depend on whether they get to Rice first.
Oh man, so you think that they got like big wheel spin, they spin it for Rice, and then they're going to take off a bunch of bad pieces, and then they'll spin it again.
Right.
Man. Right. Okay, I like it.
I mean, they might set a precedent with Rice at that they feel like they have to grant an appeal and, and so on and so forth for Addison. I don't know. We'll have to see what the head of the NFLPA says about that. Oh, what? Oh, no, he's not here anymore. he gone. He gone. All right, moving right along. We've got so much news. I already don't think we're going to make it through all of it.
Hey, we can do whatever we got to do. We will make this work for the people.
We can do whatever we want.
That's right. This is America.
I'm gonna jump right into the Bay Area, and we might as well just address. I think it's kind of the elephant in the room, and that is the enigma that is Christian McCaffrey right now.
Okay.
All bets are completely off. His players and his coaches are saying he looks like the old Christian McCaffrey. But, that keyword is degenerative. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean he's healed all the way up. and it probably means he's going to go downhill again this season. So maybe they won't still be running him in the fourth quarter when they're up 7 points, and they'll be giving him some more breaks. But I don't know. I mean, right now he's being drafted as the running back 6. So he's going top 15 at the most, or 15 to 20, let's say. I think right around the 1-2 turn is where I've seen him.
Yeah, I think like if I think about like an ideal draft spot for me in redraft, it's a place that I can take Christian McCaffrey and then also get an elite receiver in the 1-2 turn. If you want to talk about like why do we play this game, there's nothing better than like picking someone and then like you have an excuse as to why you didn't win the league, because if they would have been healthy, like I had it in the bag. Christian McCaffrey is like the 101 like of that scenario. It's like when you think back to like 2016 when David Johnson broke his wrist like the first game of the season. And you're like, you know what, if I had David Johnson, he was going to get that 1,000 and like I would have had this. Like it's no big deal. Like I know it and you can't be mad at it. Like we don't know what's going to happen with the injury. For me, I'm all in on Christian McCaffrey. You want to talk about a guy that you think is like, hey, like he's had these health issues. If you want to get weird and like a little stitious, really he has 2 injury years and then he has like a couple good years of like running back run. But at the same time, if he's healthy, he's going to be a top 3 running back. The way that they use him in that offense, it's like you have to be willing to take that chance. Like if you I'm not saying take him 101. I wouldn't do that. But after like 105, 106, it's like, all right, like we play to win this thing, right? Like, let's get after it. And so for me, like I took him 103 in Fishbowl this year, just the way that the settings worked out. I was like, you know what? If it doesn't pan out, that's fine. Like it's a 5,000 person tournament. But I think that you have a player that he's had some weird injuries over the course of his time. He had the year, and I think if they were in the playoff hunt, I think that they would have found a way to get him back on the field. But they were like, hey, this is a lost year anyway. Let's get it. All reports are saying that he's healthy. Now, the thing that I will say, and what I regret about last year for one of the leagues I was in, we drafted on Tuesday after Labor Day. You hadn't heard anything. It was all bad news on McCaffrey, and I was like, I'm sure it's just coach speak. I'm going to draft him anyway. Right. Wasted the pick. If you hear absolutely anything negative in the next month about Christian McCaffrey, nix it immediately. Like that's just like an abort mission. We're out of here. But if all reports are saying like he looks good, he's healthy, even if he plays half of the season for you, it's going to be a hell of a half of the season.
It's going to be a hell of a half a season. Yeah.
Right. And I'm cool with that.
You know, I'm with you because I took McCaffrey in the Scott Fish Bowl with the 3rd pick last year in SFB 14. And
Cleveland
this year, and of course, you know, I could bring up Amber Heard again, but I won't. My team, you know, choked on it because he just, you know, he was out of there. But it did not stop me from grabbing him at 108 this year.
Oh, man, like, I'm so jealous. I had to take him at 103 because I knew he wasn't going to make it back.
I was like, if this is, you know, I mean, you can't just play scared in fantasy football. You have to be willing to take chances or stand on what you believe. You know, you hear so many of the talking heads and voices coming in and out of the ears and on Twitter and everything else, but you do formulate your own opinions. And there are a lot of people out there that are like, I'm not touching McCaffrey. He's doomed. And I'm like, yeah, but what if he's not?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can't predict injury. Like there are situations where it's like, okay, like you recognize that an offensive change is happening. This player doesn't fit in that scheme. Or like, I look at like Baker Mayfield. Like if you look at somebody that has a touchdown percentage over 7, it's like, he's going to throw not 7% of his passes be touchdowns this year. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. So it's like, if you look at something like that, cool. If you're going to victory lap on injuries, like, go get a hobby. Like, go do something different. Like, no one knows. Like, I ran up the steps today and I almost pulled a hamstring, and like, I'm not better for it. But like, you don't know. Like, it's just, no one knows stuff like that. And it's like, it's goofy to be like, oh, well, I told you that Christian McCaffrey was going to get hurt. Like, you probably thought like all the years that DeMarco Murray was in Dallas and he got hurt, you're like, oh, well, I won't touch him when he gets to Tennessee. And then boom, he was a beast over there. So just like, get over yourself. Like, you're not smart for like saying, hey, like, this player might get hurt. You could say that about literally any player. It's a violent game. Like, it's going to happen.
Right. And likewise, to your personal experience, in several months from now, when you're going to go for a run, people are going to be like, dude, don't take those stairs. You can't do it.
Yeah, but you know what? I can't afford an elevator in my house. Like, I'm just a fantasy guy. Like, I don't got it like that.
They're like, you can't, you're going to pull a hammy again. And you'll be like, no, I'm fully healed.
And that's fine.
Take a chance on me.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Buy the dip.
Speaking of taking a chance on people, how come Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper are not on teams yet?
So Amari Cooper is washed, in my opinion. His strength as a player for the longest time was his ability to separate and run routes. Like, he was an elite route runner. He doesn't really have that anymore. I think so. For me, it's like, I don't think teams really are looking at Amari Cooper.
Yeah, for when he went to the Bills last year, 4 games, 20 catches, 2 touchdowns,
right. And there wasn't a lot of competition there, where if he still had something to thank, he could have taken over. I know I was in a draft night out league for the Expo, and I had Amari Cooper as like a later pick. And when he got traded to the Bills, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, this is going to save my season. No, it didn't happen.
Right.
So Amari Cooper, I think, is washed. Keenan Allen, I have a soft spot for Keenan Allen. He's been one of my favorite players since he's been in the league. Me too. I think for Keenan Allen, I don't think that he wants to go to training camp. And I think that like the money that he wants probably isn't reflective of what teams are willing to pay for his services right now. Because if you look at like his metrics when he was in Chicago, they were pretty solid. And it's like, at the same time, he's 33 years old. He has the injury history. Do people want to take that chance? I could see him going as like a closer to camp sort of situation. Hey, here's your route tree. Good luck. He'd be like, all right, I'll have this in 10 minutes. Let me go grab my hoodie. I'll be fine. Right. Or it's like hey, like, we have a significant injury or the suspension or whatever. I think that he finds a team this year. Do I think he's fantasy relevant? Not necessarily, but he still has a little bit more to offer, I think.
Well, we started saying that last year when he was off to that slow start. And right. he still finished the season with I call it 777s. He had like 70 catches, 700 and something yards, and 7 TDs, which kind of came out of nowhere because he started so slow that people were like, oh, he's washed. He's done. I'm with you. He's one of my favorite players. And I think the difference between he and Cooper is that he still does have that technical route running ability. He's always been one of the best, and I think he still is. He showed that in Chicago.
Oh, for sure. And it's like, if you look back at like Keenan Allen had that label of like, oh, he's like this injury prone guy. Like, he had the most like bizarre run of injuries. It was like broken collarbone, ruptured spleen. It was like you're like making stuff up on Madden right now. Like, this doesn't happen to people, right? And I was like, okay. And then he finally got it sorted. But I think he will find himself on a team at some point. Who he's going to be, I don't know.
I think he could end up in Pittsburgh.
If he ends up in Pittsburgh, I will tell you the first person to get that jersey is going to be me. And it's going to be an awesome day. And I'm going to also get the matching Keenan Allen hoodie to go on top of it. It'll be a great time. They could, but if I was Keenan Allen, I wouldn't go to Pittsburgh. They don't have a chance at winning a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I'm just saying there are teams that could use his services for sure.
I saw a really cool jersey swap. It was really well done with him going to the Chargers now that Mike Williams retired.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it looked really good. Wow. It was almost like he was on the team.
How did that jersey look on him?
Yeah, it looked really good on him, actually. Yeah, it was like he'd been there for a long time.
Huh, that's weird. Yeah, they put him in a Chargers jersey. Speaking of Mike Williams, let's talk about him. Keenan's old teammate. He retired. Last week?
Yeah.
And it was yet again another injury. The Chargers were prepared to put him on the pup. He went home that night and I think called them that evening and said,
"Yeah,
I'm done." And this actually surprised me a little bit. I did not realize that Williams had only been in the league 7 years.
Yeah, and he was a really high pick in the first round too. It's a shame that he wasn't able to do more. 72 games in 7 seasons. Like, that's not a lot of football. When he was healthy, like, he was really good. You talk about it like a contested catch specialist, like Mike Williams, like, you throw it up, he was coming down with the ball. The problem is when he hit the ground after he did that, like, he would just turn to dust.
Yeah.
But for what he got drafted for, I would consider him a bust for like his draft capital.
Yeah, I mean, just the injuries alone, you know what I mean? At some point,
great what if in the league.
Yeah, at some point, like, I recognize you can't blame injuries on the guy. You can't blame his body. He's not doing it. It's not that he's not taking care of himself.
Oh, no, he did everything that he could in that situation. It didn't pan out, and it's like you empathize for that. You appreciate the high moments that he had. He had a lot of really good moments for the Chargers. He did really good moments for the Jets. He had really good moments for the Steelers even just last year. So it's like it wasn't like he wasn't capable. It's just one of the most important abilities in the NFL is availability. And he just didn't have that. And he realized, you know what? I made enough money. Let's get out of here.
Cliche, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, listen, I'm a Tomlin supporter. We got the Tomlinisms on deck all the time. So it's just one of those things where it's like, all right, like, you would have loved to seen it work out. I think you would have expected more out of him. But yeah, it's just the way that it crumbles sometimes. And that's fine.
It caught me off guard because when he retired, I was thinking back. Just, like you said, at some of the big plays he's had and everything.
Yeah.
And I was trying to remember, like, all the stuff that he did in San Diego. He wasn't in San Diego. He didn't go to the Chargers till they moved to LA. So, I mean, that's how long I thought Mike Williams, or I felt like Mike Williams had been in the league, when in fact it's really not long at all. I mean, 2018, 2017.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. I would have thought he would have been there in the San Diego days too, but I guess not. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, ask me who was there in the San Diego days. I can't even remember. I went to a game. Joe, David Montgomery is hungry.
Same. I get it.
What is he hungry for?
Well, I think for David Montgomery, he is the forgotten piece of the Detroit Lions offense.
Oh, so I thought you were going to say hot dogs.
No, it was probably Jets Pizza, which is like the thick crust, like square slices that they have in Detroit. Pretty tasty, even though it's a chain. I lived out there for a little bit. I used to work at Chrysler for an internship back in the day, back when the Chargers were still in San Diego. But he is the forgotten piece of that offense. He's an important piece of that offense, right? So if you think about what they do, you always have Gibbs, premier talent. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is the unsexiest, like, elite wide receiver in the league. Like, you talk about a guy who's been a top 3 receiver the last two years, and people are like, you know what? Like, we're going to draft him. Like, wide receiver 8. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel good about it. Like, they lost like these pieces, and it's like, what? Like, what are we doing? But for Montgomery,
if his nickname wasn't Sun God, I don't even think people would draft him.
No, yeah. I've been really laughing hard about there's these clips that have been coming out about like, oh, like he chose his number 14 based on like the number of receivers that were selected ahead of him. And then he realized that it was actually 16 and his girlfriend like got the number wrong. It's like, oh man, like not ideal. But I mean, I feel like 14 like just suits him really well. So like it all worked out all the same. But yeah, Monty, I mean, like he's one of those guys. He was good in Chicago. He came over to the Lions. I mean, elite offensive line. Even with them losing Ragnow, they're gonna have a much different feel in the offense with Ben Johnson's departure. But David Montgomery, he is a very safe play. The way that the Lions, at least historically, have operated with the Gibbs Montgomery era is that it's basically drive by drive. He can do all of the things, maybe not to the level that Gibbs does, but they have enough confidence that they're not pulling him off the field in different situations. So he had the injuries at the end of last year. For me, if you're a zero running back kind of player, Monty is a great player to have in that situation, right? Like he may not have the big boom weeks, but he also isn't going to have the duds either. So like I support that quite a bit. So we'll see what happens with it. I don't have any reservations about the Lions offense with all of these changes they had. They pretty much any assistant coach that they've ever hired since Barry Sanders got scooped up by another team this past year, like they were digging deep into the archives to get like, oh, like who's the next big thing? But I think he still has a role to play. You have the injuries for him, but yeah, he's going to be coming in healthy. I like it a lot. And people don't give him that respect because of Gibbs, because of these other offensive pieces. But I mean, he's a dog. He's good people. So I don't have any reservations from a fantasy perspective.
And I think it's also just that he's just not a sexy running back. You know what I mean? He's not putting a bunch of crazy jukes out there or anything like that. But I mean, his ADP is like ridiculous.
Right.
If for what he's done. I mean, the guy's got over 2,000 scrimmage yards in 2 years in Detroit. Like 1,800 of it is rushing. That's pretty good. He's got 25 touchdowns. He had 13 and 12 in 2 years in Detroit. I mean, and he's only 28.
Yeah, right. And like if you want to talk about like fantasy upside, like anybody that's if they're averaging over 10 touchdowns a year, like sure, you could be on my team any day of the week. That's fine.
Well, yeah, and it's and people talk about him like he's been around forever and he's 35 years old. And the guy he's not even sniffing 30 yet. I mean,
right.
He's pushing it, but he's not like right there. But his best ball ADP right now, 71.8. That's around the end of the 6th round.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The very end of the 6th round. So, and he's listed as running back 24. Is he really the 24th best running back?
It's really interesting that you say that because I feel like a lot of players in that area are very undervalued. And it's not even just him. So if you look so Monty's in that range, Isaiah Pacheco, he had a broken leg last year. Like, I know that there's a lot of talk about him, like, oh, like he moves his legs a lot, but he like isn't very fast and like all this different stuff. But if you look to 2 years ago, but when he didn't have a broken leg, he was very successful. Also, like I try to not be smarter than the NFL. So it's like when I'm looking at players that I want to draft in fantasy, it's like, oh, are you in an elite offense? I should probably draft you. Pacheco falls into that mold. If you want to look who else falls into that.
Do you always get the ball inside the 5-yard line? Okay.
Fine, that's cool. But then you look so in that range as well, Aaron Jones, Minnesota, RB28, elite offensive line, great head coach, great offensive weapons.
Excellent.
Brian Robinson Jr., RB29, Washington, great offense, great offensive line, elite young quarterback. Like, why are these guys going ahead of the likes of rookies that haven't seen the field or Yeah, like it's just very odd to me. Like I feel like there's a lot of value to be had there, and you got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think part of it is the overcorrection, or lack of it. They're working on correcting it, and there probably will be an overcorrection, but they realized that 30 wasn't the absolute wall, or for that matter, 3 years in the league wasn't the absolute wall. So,
Right.
last year we saw some guys like, Connor was still getting a chance. Other guys are still in there plugging away. And the NFL kind of woke up and said, some of these older guys can still go. I mean, yes, that wall is there for some people.
Well, I wonder too, like if you look at how the NFL has evolved over the years, like if you look at players like 10, 15 years ago, it's like they were the bell cow and pretty much the exclusive carrier of the ball in college. Then they come out into the league. They're taking 20 carries to the face every week for however long until the wheels fall off. Now,
Yeah.
like NFL teams, like they are a lot more cognizant of that. Like if you look at Jahmyr Gibbs, if you were to tell me, hey, like you drafted a running back in the first round, it would go back to like the CJ Spiller. We're going to give him the ball until he pukes, right? No, we don't do that. We have Monty, who is a very capable back and could do great things. And then, oh, by the way, once you're tired, here's this really fast guy that can juke you out of your shoes. Right. And he's going to take it to the house. So I think there's a big fundamental shift in, hey, like getting tackled every play isn't fun. How can we increase that? I don't think that necessarily means that like you're going to have guys to the level of like Derrick Henry, who's like, I had 400 carries every year since I was 8 and it doesn't bother me at all. Like that's not like the norm. Like dude's a freak. But
or Frank
you also
Gore.
have a lot of players that they're extending that shelf life. So it's like, does that cliff change? I think we're seeing that a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's funny that the fantasy community is such a "what have you done for me lately" community, and this is almost along those lines. When they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, everybody just said Montgomery's done. Like he's not. He's useless now. It was the same thing with Mostert, and then he scored like 18 touchdowns.
Mostert. Talk about people that I want in like a best ball draft or anything else. You want to? Everybody's like, oh, you can't draft Saquon because he had 400 touches. Guess who had 400 touches last year? Ashton Genty.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah, it's just interesting how the dynamic changes, and I'm actually working on an article right now about the fantasy community's love affair with basically crowning a guy after his rookie season.
I like it.
And not taking anything back later. And part of the reason for that is things like keep, trade, cut, and stuff like that, and evaluations. Some analysts that do evaluations are all about jumping on the bandwagon. They want to be the first to say this guy's going to be good.
Oh yeah, and I don't even think that's exclusive to the fantasy community. I think just like news in general, it's like being first, being so much. And it's like nobody wants to be the guy that's holding the bag for the person that's left. You'd rather be a year early than a year late.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, you think of things like was CJ Stroud's first year really that amazing, or did he just not throw a lot of interceptions?
Well, I think CJ Stroud in like a pure football sense, his rookie year was fantastic.
Yeah,
from a fantasy perspective,
and he was inspiring. You know what I mean?
Well, I think part of it was that he wasn't the number 1 pick, even though he was great at Ohio State, had all the physical tools, and it was like, all right, we're going to take Bryce Young. Cool, fine, whatever. But it was like, all right, like Houston was expected to be awful that year. Like nobody really had them on their radar. And anytime that you can subvert those expectations and be like, hey, like you're going to do more than what's expected of you. People are all about that. The weird thing about society today is that they also are really excited about the downfall of people like that. So last year when Stroud didn't put up magically 40 touchdowns with like his entire receiving core getting hurt, no offensive line, Joe Mixon getting hurt, they're like, well, he sucks now. And it's like, whoa. Like
that's me. You just described me.
He's doing well, but I think that it's like from a fantasy community, like you said, it's a very much what have you done lately? Stroud played good football last year. It just wasn't good fantasy football. And people were like, well, he did this. He put up 26 touchdowns his rookie season. I think the number was. It was in that ballpark. I think it was 26. And I was like, oh, well.
And with like 5 interceptions or something.
Right. And it's like, well, he put up 26 his rookie year.
And then last year he threw like 16 interceptions.
Right. Well, it's like, well, if he put up 26 his rookie year, then he's going to put up 40, like 35, like his sophomore season. It's like, well, that's not really how it works. Like, it's just not really that thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, especially from like a perspective, he doesn't run the ball. He didn't run the ball at Ohio State. He's not going to run it now. He did run it that one random playoff game, which was like crazy to me.
Yeah.
But it's like, he's not going to be that guy. And until he can consistently put up 35 touchdowns, 40 touchdowns, like Joe Burrow, like, that defense is bad. They will run the ball, but like they're scoring through the passing attack. It's like, okay, I can trust you as a non-running entity to be my fantasy quarterback. Stroud doesn't have that luxury right now. Like, he's not putting up those numbers. So it's like he got way overdrafted last season.
And that's the thing, the dynasty community especially.
Because Stroud was flirting with like QB1 last
He was QB1 for a while.
Which is insane.
And what was a lot of people's stance on that was he could be this Mahomes, this Burrow that can throw for 45 touchdowns.
Which is insane because Mahomes' first season that he really played, he put up 50 touchdowns. But Burrow, like, he didn't do that his rookie year, but like he was throwing to people like me, like that first season. So it was just like,
well, and he got hurt, and then he was hurt again the next year. Oh, and he's another one, like you said about Keenan Allen. People were like, Joe Burrow's injury prone, and I'm like, he has such a bunch of freak injuries, like had an appendectomy, and like tore like this ligament in his thumb, and they're like, he's injury prone, and I'm like, dude, these are weird things. Like if I told you I tore this ligament in my thumb, you'd go, how'd you do that?
I wouldn't want to know how you did that, actually, but that's here nor there. This is a family show. But it's one of those things where it's like with Burrow, it's like, there's no way that kind of thing can switch up. The biggest thing was like a injury like that, can he recover? And he obviously is doing more than fine.
Right. All right, let's move on. So we're going to take a quick little break here, but we've got plenty more news on the other side. We're going to talk Chase Brown, Najee Harris, Chris Godwin, Stefon Diggs, and some others. But we keep mentioning the ADPs on this show and where we're going to be eventually drafting in our redraft leagues. I know a lot of people are already heavily involved in best ball at this point. But you should know that Player Profiler has full page information on every player. It's got their ADP, their bio, their stat history, the whole 9 yards. It's even got the ADP trends, if they're trending upward, trending downward, so on and so forth. But enough from me. Let the Podfather tell you about our draft kit, which is absolutely outstanding and worth every single penny.
The world famous Draft Kit is live, and it is this signature bit of content that we create every year to help you dominate your fantasy league. The most in-depth team previews you'll find anywhere, including signature trends and a lot of key stats on individual teams. Also, a 300-player cheat sheet for best ball, for seasonal leagues, individual cheat sheets from the top analysts here at Player Profiler. There's also video analysis and written analysis from some of the top minds in the industry. And we have all these new features like a Rate My Team feature, plug in your roster, and our AI tools automatically generate a draft score, as well as a whole commissioner guide. You have to subscribe to it to believe it. PlayerProfiler.com/draftkit, PlayerProfiler.com/draftkit. Get it now. Go win.
I should mention also that the draft kit right now is part of our all-in package, which includes Dynasty Dominator, a draft dominator, just more info than you can shake a stick at. And if you want to do the all-in package, you can use our promo code, which is WHIP, WHIP. It's going to get you a hefty discount on that. You'll get the draft kit included in that too. And you will be awash in information, to say the least. So that'll let you access pretty much everything on the Player Profiler site. And even I haven't accessed everything on the Player Profiler site yet. I mean, I have access to it, but it's just so much.
There's so much stuff. It's awesome. It's so cool.
And that promo code also works for FastDraft. If you guys have not tried it, it is best ball. You can draft a team in as little as 2 minutes, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or you could do a normal best ball draft and take like 20. But it's quick and it's cheap to play, and the payouts are good. There's no rake. So have you tried Fast yet?
I mean, we talked about, I am not a best ball kind of
that's
guy.
right. That's right.
I am notoriously bad at it. Like I cannot predict the future to save my life. And it's just like, I am a slut for waivers. And like, because I can't do that, there's just no hope for me. But yeah. I do need to, from what I've heard and what I've seen and what I've talked to people about, like the fast draft, like being able just to jump in really quickly and make things happen and not be in like, like I'm in this slow draft. I've had 4 people auto draft and I hate it. Or like, hey, like I had this draft, or
you wait 3 days before.
Right. Or like I've been seeing a lot of, I'm not going to throw shade on like any particular platform, but it's like, hey, I didn't know I was making a pick, or hey, like I didn't get notified, or like I haven't heard any of that from Fast Draft at all. So give it a check if you're into that sort of thing, or if you're looking to get into that. Like I think something that's interesting about the kind of like this best ball season that we're in is you have a lot of people that are just, I like to draft. I don't want to have the commitment of doing all of those like nitty gritties of the season. Like this is a great way to do it. And that platform, from what I've seen, has been awesome. So it's got my endorsement for sure.
Yeah, and you'll see the grand prizes on there are, up to like $10,000 and things like that. But there's also smaller increment prizes throughout. So like you don't have to come in first just to make money. And when you paid $5 to get into a draft and you pulled 600 in after the season, that you don't even remember doing. You're like, hey, free money. Anyway, all right, that's enough about that. But yeah, definitely want the draft kit. You don't have to get the all-in order to get the draft kit. I'd recommend it because it's got a hefty discount on it if you use WHIP, but you can get draft kit separately. And FastDraft.app is what you want for Fast Draft. Doesn't matter how experienced you are. So let's continue with a little bit more news. Your boy, Chris Godwin.
My boy.
That's right. He's actually my boy. He is starting the season on the PUP list. Most people recognize that he went out last year with a dislocated ankle. It did require surgery. They're confident he's going to be ready for week 1, but he's not running any practices. He's working with trainers. So I guess my question for you, Joe, is this good for rookie Emeka Egbuka, Jalen McMillan? Obviously, we know Mike Evans is going to get his.
Right.
But is Baker going to elevate some of these other guys?
It's really interesting to me because if you think about like the way this is unfolded, so it's like, let's get this straight. Last year, Chris Godwin was basically wide receiver 1 for 7 weeks.
Yeah, 20 points a game.
Right. He basically broke his foot off of his leg. Okay. So he gets all of this stuff done. And they're like, yeah, he's going to be fine. Like, no mortal human just breaks their foot off of their leg and is just like fine a few months later. So then they're like, yeah, like it's fine. We had the surgery. It's cool. Like modern medicine, like, woo. So then they say, okay, not only did you just break your foot off of your leg, we are going to give you a 2/3 guaranteed contract for a lot of money so that you don't go to the Patriots, who will give money to anybody that claims that they're a receiver. Like Vincent Papali from Invincible was getting $20 million a year from the Patriots this offseason. Like, it's insane. And so it's like, okay, well, we can't have you get lost. We're going to re-sign you. And then on top of that, we're going to take a wide receiver who plays the same position basically in the slot as you do in the first round. And now you're also getting your knee scoped.
And who is very highly regarded.
Yes.
Egbuka was in the conversation for, with Ted McMillan and Luther Burden as being one of the hot shots coming out.
None of it makes sense to me, like at all. I don't understand like what the Bucs were doing here at all. So yes, I do think it elevates Egbuka. I don't think it does anything necessarily for McMillan. He's very much on the outside. Like, so it's like he's going to need like a Mike Evans hamstring injury to like bring him to prominence. The good thing for him is that they do play a lot of 3 wide receiver sets in Tampa Bay. We'll see what the new offensive coordinator brings to the table with that. But it's just, it's very weird to me. Like Chris Godwin, like, I don't know, like his whole foot was just plant. So it's just like, I don't feel like I see the upside, I get the upside, but I don't feel comfortable drafting him at all, especially with it's like, oh, well, he has this other thing happening. There's another thing happening. There's another thing happening. You combine that
we drafted someone who is basically his prototype.
Right, exactly. And it's like, and then you expect Baker to kind of have like this TD regression. Worth is already hurt as like their left tackle. Like there's just a lot of like negative vibes in Tampa Bay, and I would just rather not deal with it.
Cade Otton to the moon, baby.
Yeah, but Cade Otton, like he had those 2 games where he did really well, and then it was like, well, what happened? Like
Cade Otton's he's not actually very good. And I was baiting you with the McMillan talk because I don't think McMillan is very good at all.
McMillan would be fun for like the end of a best ball draft. It's like, could he win you a week? Absolutely. Redraft, yeah. Like I have no interest.
Yeah, I mean McMillan could take the top off of defense and run a go route. I don't know that I trust him to run any other routes. So he's certainly not going to interfere with Godwin or Egbuka. But the question is whether the 2 of them can cohabitate if Godwin is able to come back by the beginning of the season. So, let's stick with the. I feel like earlier I felt like all we were talking about was running backs, and now I feel like all we're talking about is wide receivers, and old ones at that. So might as well talk about Stefon Diggs, who is actually kind of the antithesis of Godwin. People thought that maybe he wouldn't be ready for the beginning of the year. He is not going on the PUP list, which is great news for sophomore quarterback Drake May.
Yeah.
And Diggs is another one who is, a renowned route runner, which is also really good for a young quarterback to know where a guy is going to be at all times. And the rest of that wide receiver core is a disaster. So what kind of season do you think we're going to get out of Stefon Diggs? Right now he's let me see. Right now he's being drafted at wide receiver 45.
Yeah, that's a smash. I mean, if you're going to talk about players that are going to exceed expectations for that, like you said, they have some mediocre options at wide receiver, right? So you have Pop Douglas, Keyshawn Thielen on the booty. You have Hunter Henry just floating around in there doing God knows what. Like how he got franchise tagged once in his lifetime is like baffling to me. But there's the thing about Diggs is that Diggs is not a quiet player. Like when you talk about like alpha receiver mentality, like Diggs has that. Like you aren't giving me the ball 10 times a game, like we're gonna have a problem, right? He was very vocal about that in Buffalo. They were like, all right, we've had enough of this. I was like, I don't really see it with the route running anymore. When he got traded to Houston, those first few games before he got hurt, excellent in Houston. He had a lot of 20-point games last season. Yes, they drafted Kyle Williams. He's kind of like the dynasty darling right now. We're on dynasty degens, but it's like, you know what? Like Kyle Williams is currently like 4th or 5th on that depth chart. Like go put him away. Like he's not doing anything this first year. Like if you want to talk about hot takes, like they have some like establishment of what they're trying to do. Vrabel's probably going to run the ball a lot. Like if you don't remember what Vrabel's done over the course of his time, like they're going to give it to Stevenson. They just drafted Henderson. And they didn't really have like a major target leader last year for the Patriots. Like there wasn't anybody that's like, oh, wow, like they could go do something with it. But they're going to give the ball to Diggs. And if he's starting week 1, like I feel like you're saying he's wide receiver 43. You 45. Know that or 45. You know that he's going to be the person that's the focal point for Drake May.
Yeah, Diggs had 47 catches in 8 games last year, which for him is pretty much right on par. The prior 2 years, he went well over 100 catches, went well over 1,000 yards. By well over, I mean, he was over the numbers, which, those benchmarks don't really quite exist anymore. But yeah, I mean, if you see him there at wide receiver 45, I mean, that means in some redrafts, you might not even see him come up the board on you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or not until the very end, and the draft is over, and you go, "Oh, there's Stefon Diggs," and you're like, "Man, wish I could have taken him." I do notice that in the past, Diggs has always been on his best behavior at the beginning.
Oh, for sure.
Of his career in each place. He got along with Josh Allen at first. Obviously, he got along in Minnesota at first. He seemed to be getting along fine with Stroud in Houston last year. So I think that he is what Drake May really, really needs.
It's a prudent move for a young quarterback that you're trying to establish in the league. You have the cap space because he's on the rookie deal. Like, I love that idea a lot. Would you ideally like to go after somebody that's younger that you can kind of pair with him for pretty much the duration of that rookie contract? Sure. But I mean, it is what it is. They signed him to a 3-year deal, so they have to have some level of confidence in him, even if it's not for the full 3 years. But for us, like we're looking at this year, I think he can do it.
And not only that, when he was coming out of college, Drake May, one of the things I liked about him is he had a lot of anticipation on his throws.
Right.
He was a very anticipatory passer.
Sure.
And when you have somebody that runs routes as clean as Diggs or Keenan Allen do, that's what you need. You need, I can't even see him, but I know he's going to be there when I put the ball right there.
Right. Yeah.
So I think Diggs is going to double as both a big play threat and a security blanket for the Patriots. The question is whether he can bring a guy like Kyle Williams along, you know what I mean? But
sure.
Diggs doesn't strike me as a I'll take you under my wing kind of guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
But if people study him and watch his habits, then that's almost good enough. But I've got Mike in the chat who's just saying you can pretty much get Diggs for free in drafts. And we were talking about FastDraft at length earlier. And when you go to FastDraft, you can use the promo code WHIP for up to a $50 match, or use promo code DEGENS. Either way, man, you're going to make money.
Love free money. Free money's the best, man.
Free money is the best. But yeah, I'm really excited about Diggs, and I need to start adding him in more drafts.
He was a priority target for me in Fishbowl with the 2.5 PPR. It was like, all right, like you have the potential to be a wide receiver 1. And when you're looking at players like that are the 40th player at their position or higher, I think for wide receivers, it's a lot harder to identify players that are going to be a breakout in those later picks. Running backs, like, hey, like there's a lot of people that are going to get injured. I can kind of take some chances on like who I think may be like a handcuff flyer. A wide receiver, like we were talking about Jalen McMillan before, he's the wide receiver 4 on that team, presumably. One guy gets hurt, he bumps up to wide receiver 3. So it's like you need not just one injury, but 2 or 3 for him to become relevant.
Right.
Where it's like, all right, Diggs, it's like if he's healthy enough to start the season, he's their wide receiver 1. And if he can get 100 targets for you, then like that could do well.
And that's what they're saying. They're saying he's going to be good to go to start the season. Otherwise, they'd put him on. You could put guys on PUP right now,
right?
And it doesn't mean anything.
Sure.
And we're actually going to talk about that on another team in just a moment. So if you don't put him on PUP, that means you're fully believing that he's like good to go. You know what I mean? So I think Diggs, I think he'll thrive there. He's another one that's been one of my personal favorites for years. Not necessarily because of the attitude or what I hear is the attitude.
Right.
I just like watching him play football, man.
Yeah.
And he's, a little older now and still very entertaining, just like Keenan Allen.
Yep.
Speaking of the Patriots, in the in Nobody Cares section of the news, Austin Hooper and Mac Hollins have both gone on the PUP list.
Whatever will I do?
So God knows what the Patriots are going to do about that.
Well, Mac Hollins is actually a very capable blocker, like from the wide receiver slot. So like that does hurt the running game a little bit. But yeah, you're right. Nobody really cares.
Nobody really cares. I like Mac Hollins. I love the fact that he shows up barefoot for every game.
Yeah, barefoot, Hawaiian t-shirts, and blizzard games. He's out of control.
And it's like 10 below outside.
Yeah.
So the one I wanted to mention that I was just leaning on with the PUP list, sometimes it matters and sometimes it doesn't. Here's a great example. San Francisco put Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall both on the PUP list. Pearsall is expected to be ready for the start. It's like a hamstring. It's a hamstring.
That one was surprising for sure. Like Ayuk, I was like, okay, yeah, like fine, like whatever. But the Pearsall news was definitely surprising.
Yeah, Pearsall, but it's a hammy, so they think he'll just rehab it a little bit and he'll be fine.
Right.
He's good to go. It's just precautionary. They throw him on the pup list or whatever they get from that, if they get an extra roster spot or they can wait longer to cut somebody. Brandon Ayuk, though, I will probably not see the field until the midway point of this season. At least that's kind of what they talked about last year and a little bit during this offseason. Like, they wouldn't say absolutely not. He can't play at the beginning of the year, but it seems like more of a mid-season situation. And unfortunately, if that's the case, and he's rusty like he was last year after holding out, he's going to have 2 really bad years, but he's going to be able to buy anything he wants to eat because bro got the bag, man.
Hey, man, time is money, and he got a lot of it, so he made it work.
That's right. Tyreek Hill had a bum wrist all last year, and that's what they're primarily blaming his season on. He now says his wrist feels no pain. He's ready to come back and bounce back, but he is 31 years old.
Sure.
But right now his ADP is 22 and still rising. He's in the last, I think, 2 weeks, he's gone from 26 or 27 up to 22. Right. And he's listed as wide receiver 12. So he's going late in the second. Do you think this is really going to be a bounce back, or do you think he's done?
I think like wide receiver 12, I think is a very fair evaluation for Hill. If he continues to move up ahead of like Ladd McConkey, AJ Brown, Drake London, it's like, all right, like I don't feel comfortable with that. But
pump the brakes.
Yeah, like if you see like, okay, like T. Higgins, like I'll talk probably about T. Higgins later. Marv Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, who's a wide receiver 2, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Terry McLaurin on his holdout journey. Like, I think that if Tua is going to be healthy, and if you're going to say, hey, like I am comfortable with taking the chance on CMC, that doesn't mean that you need to take a chance on every single injury prone or player that's in an injury situation. But it's like Tyreek Hill, like even last year, like he was considered to be a top 3 safest pick in the draft with where he was. The league is changing in the sense that like they're not letting people take the top off of offense. You see a lot of the too high zone that is really taking away players like Tyreek Hill from being effective. But yeah, I mean, he had the weird start to the season. He had the whole incident with the police where he got thrown onto the ground. He had the wrist issues, like all this stuff. Like everything that could have went wrong with him and the Dolphins last year happened. So it's like you expect that bounce back. Would I have preferred him more in the later teens, 20s of wide receivers? Sure. But I think especially after you saw him do the sprint where he ran the 100-meter dash in like about 10 seconds, it was like, oh, he's still fast. Like what else is there?
Right.
So I do think that like his evaluation right now is fair. Do I feel crazy about it? No. But I think he would need to slide just a smidge for me in order for me to draft him.
Well, he's got to keep playing for several more years so that he could continue to pay child support to the amount of baby mamas he's got.
Fair. Yeah, he's got a couple. That's true.
Because there are a lot of them. And probably more coming out of the cracks right now. I tend to think I couldn't agree with you more on just because you're going to take a shot on one guy doesn't mean you should take shots on numerous guys.
Yeah, roster construction is really important. You need to,
unless you're the type of person that says, I'm going to draft McCaffrey and Hill and Diggs, and either I'm going to come in dead last or I'm just going to kill everyone.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I haven't met a whole lot of people like that. I imagine some of the high roller players probably do.
Sure.
But they've got money to burn. I don't have money to burn. So
I wish.
Speaking of not yet having money to burn, James Cook has shown up for Buffalo Bills training camp, but the Buffalo Bills, by their own admission, said, we don't know if he's going to practice.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. James Cook has done really well for himself. Has he earned a new deal? Yes. Does the league evaluate what he does the same way that he evaluates himself? No. For me, every day that this goes on is a larger validation that you need to be drafting Ray Davis. To me, Ray Davis is
more. I'm taking Ray Davis everywhere I can get him.
Everywhere that you can get it. James Cook is an undersized guy who you see situations like this where if he holds out, I want the backup that's in an elite offense. We've seen when he touches the ball 20 times a game as the backup in, say, like a mop-up duty or in like we're resting our starters. Like, he's done well. He's broken out for big plays in legitimate game scenarios, not just against backup. So for me, it's like, is James Cook going to be on a discount because of this unknown? For sure. Yes. Do I want to hold that bag to see what happens? No, not really. But I would rather reach around early and take Ray Davis every single time. Yeah. That's fine. I stand by what I said. But I think that there's a lot of value to be had, especially where he's going in the drafts. And you'll see as we get closer to the season, as there's this uncertainty about what's going to happen with James Cook, Ray Davis's ADP is going to continue to rise.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And there are some organizations out there where when you try to put your foot down or you ask for something they think is just way too much, not only do they not give it to you, but they immediately start turning their attention to the other guy. They're like, well, obviously we're not going to sign him to the richest running back deal. So we might as well start seeing what we got with Ray Davis. And at the very least, I think that's going to end up being a committee situation by about halfway through the season.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. I mean, even just as like if you're the Bills, you have this disgruntled guy, like there's a lot of this like brain think, whatever you want to call it, like, oh, well, if we're not going to keep him, let's just run him into the ground. But with how good James Cook has been for the offense, do you want to waste those legs in meaningless regular season games when you're in a weak division where you're going to want him for the playoffs? Like in the playoffs, like you could see a situation like for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year where it was like, okay, we get to the playoffs, Rachaad White's going to see 4 snaps. And Bucky Irving, like you're staying on the field until you puke. Like I see a situation like that. But when you're playing the Jets on Thursday Night Football, no, yeah, we'll give it to Ray Davis. Like whatever, like it doesn't matter.
Right. So it's just that's one of the interesting things where different teams handle situations differently. And also, owners are human and coaches are human and they take stuff personally and will do an about face because of that. So we're not even right up against it. We are way over it. So let's put a bow on this bad boy. I do want to leave you with one bit of really, really exciting news. And that is that Anthony Richardson is throwing without pain. So it looks like, he's going to contend for the quarterback 1 position in Indianapolis. Owner Carly Gordon, RIP Jim, says he still has time to prove himself. So is he going to prove himself? Or is he just going to get back to a 50% completion percentage and 6.9 yards a pass?
I mean, you want to talk about players that I'm a certified hater for.
Me too.
Anthony Richardson is definitely on that list. I think that the Colts botched it. Like, if you were going to develop him well, putting him and throwing him to the Wolves that rookie season was not the way to make it happen. Right.
No, and you should have known that just by watching him throw the ball in practice and in college. You should have known, well, this guy's going to need a little bit of work, but if we bring him along the right way, he could end up being something good. I mean, he's a huge bust, and I don't think he's going to be in the league very long.
That being said, if they do start him week 1, if you are in a league that doesn't do fab and they do some sort of rolling waivers, or they do like the reverse rank based off of standings, I would take Anthony Richardson as the last pick in your draft because he's going for free basically in drafts. And if you think about this time last year, it was like Anthony Richardson, he's going to break fantasy football. He's a first round pick in Scott Fishbowl. You should take him 101 in Scott Fishbowl because his fantasy points per touch were number 1 in the league by a great margin. And it's like, okay, he does run the ball. If you want him to be successful, he's going to use his legs, which for us, we don't really care about quality quarterback play. We care about you scoring points for our team. And if you are in a situation where if he is the starting quarterback, he's going to be running a lot. He was 3rd in the league in rushing yards last year for quarterbacks. So it's one of those things where if you can get him for free and don't have to burn that waiver on him that first week, and he has that big game, to me, immediate trade. He's not going to do it the full season. But
yeah, I think that's key. And it reminds me of Justin Fields as well.
But Fields will do it for the full season. That's the difference. Like Fields, when he started the whole year, he's been the top 6, top 7 QB.
Yeah, Justin Fields is obviously a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson, but is he a great NFL quarterback?
No, this is his last contract that he's going to be a starter for.
Right. So he will put up the fantasy points for you, but for how long? Can you count on him all season if you if you're hitching your wagon to him in the 5th round of a redraft, after the most popular guys have come off the board just because of that? Well, yeah, but you're risking the fact that he might lose his job by week 10.
Right. Yeah. I think Fields is safe for this year. If you're in a dynasty situation where Fields starts the year hot and you're not going to be contending, like you have to sell him.
Oh, yeah.
Like you have to, because he is not going to perform beyond this contract. Like I don't see it, but he could be a quarterback 1, or he will be a quarterback 1 this season, but he's not going to be starting in the league beyond this contract. I just don't see it.
I don't see it either. But I do think he's going to be in the league for a while.
Maybe, yeah.
But probably as a backup. What do you think? You want to wrap this up with maybe we do just one each, a one-off bold prediction, and then we'll call it quits for the night? I'm getting kind of tired.
Yeah, man, we've been getting after it for quite a bit. It's been good here. Yeah, we can do the bold prediction. I guess I'll get started. So
Okay.
My bold prediction is that the fantasy community, we've been talking about the Colts. The fantasy community is hyper focused on the wrong Colts wide receiver. Right?
Oh, I'm a certified hater, but go ahead.
So everybody is all in on Josh Downs this year, right? They're saying he's QB proof. He can beat zone. He can beat man. All of those things are true. I'm not debating that. But here are the facts. Michael Pittman broke his back last year. Michael Pittman still put up 110 plus targets last season. When Michael Pittman did break his back, Did Josh Downs have an elevated role last year? No. Adonai Mitchell took the snaps that were left on the table by Michael Pittman. So people are going to overdraft Josh Downs because of the fancy stats that Matt Harmon puts together, which I have a lot of respect for what Matt Harmon does. And I'm not saying this to discredit what he does, like as a person in this community. I think it's awesome. But the fact of the matter is that the Colts see Downs in this very specific role, and they're not going to expand him beyond that. So to draft the player that they feel is like a slot guy and nothing more over the guy that they view as the number one is foolish to me. I think that Michael Pittman, wide receiver 50, you're getting him at a huge discount. I think he's going to be a top 24 wide receiver. So I think he doubles what he's being drafted as this year. And I think
you think Danny Dimes is going to find him.
I think they'll find him enough to be in the top 24.
Wow. I gotta say, I've been a Josh Downs lover as soon as he came into the league, and it makes me sick to my stomach to see everybody jumping on that bandwagon now, because I know that it means it's like the kiss of death. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
right. Yeah.
When you're the only person that believes in a guy, you're like, man, I'm gonna look so good. And then when everybody else starts jumping on there, and you're starting to feel like, man, they're going to be talking about him like Kyle Pitts next year.
Right. There's nobody that I like to draft more than everybody that somebody is like. Everybody that in the fantasy community is against in fantasy is probably the best pick that you can make.
Right. Yeah. I'm still a Kendra Miller guy. Everybody else is like, Kendra Miller, what a piece of crap. And I'm like, whatever. But I'm not going out and drafting like, Alexander Madison or anything.
No. All right. What is your hot take? I don't think that my pick is that crazy, but I think that Josh Downs. I love Josh Downs.
And mine is not terribly exciting. But I was just looking at some rosters, and I was going division by division, and I noticed something in the AFC East. Bills, Jets, Dolphins, and who's the other team? Huh?
No, I was just wiping my nose. You're good.
Bills, Jets, Dolphins.
Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots.
Oh, Patriots. Yeah. How could I forget? I saw something really interesting in that division, and that's that everybody. I mean, I understand that all teams overdraft and oversign college free agents. But you're talking about a group of teams that don't have optimal wide receiver cores. And at this point, they're just throwing things at the wall to see if they stick.
Okay.
And there are so many. I think I would set the over and under at 21. I think I was looking at 21 wide receivers from that division. I think will be looking for a job at the end of training camp.
Wow.
Yeah, and obviously there's a bunch of college free agents that come into that, but there's also like, do I think Curtis Samuel is worn out his welcome in Buffalo? I do. Do I think Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, from the previous guard, might just get the axe? I do. People are already talking about that. Malik Washington in Miami.
Yeah.
What's he do for me? So, you know what I mean? So I think that's going to be interesting. And I know it's not really a hot take, but I think it'll be interesting for anybody that sees this video towards the end of the summer. When they start seeing cuts, they're going to be like, oh my God, he was right.
So you're taking the over then?
Yes. I'm taking over 21.5.
21
wide receiver, just wide receiver, not running backs, not tight ends, just wideouts.
Okay, so to make this about myself and my team, what do you think is the higher number this season? TJ Watt sacks, wide receivers cut in the AFC East.
Wide receivers cut.
Oh man, that's so many.
I'm still mad at TJ Watt for signing that deal.
Yeah, Henderson, he's going to be in Jacksonville for a bit.
All right. What else you got? You got anything?
No, I think one last thing that I have to say, it's not necessarily a bold prediction, but somebody that I think that's going too early in drafts right now is T. Higgins. So he's currently wide receiver 13, 24.3 ADP in best ball drafts according to Underdog. Last year, if you look at like his numbers, he was only a wide receiver 1 in 4 weeks last season, which was his career best. Which to me, it's like if you're going to be taking somebody in the first 2 rounds of a best ball draft, like they should be better than 25% of a hit rate as like a top player. He doubled his career rate, his career average TD rate last year. So he's a regression candidate. He was super efficient with touchdown reception. So I feel like that's going to slide. Another thing that's weird about T. Higgins is in the last 3 years, he's had 15 games where he wasn't even in the top 40 of wide receivers. So he's this big boomer bust candidate, which is fine when you're looking at a best ball thing, I guess, because it doesn't matter. Like you just have somebody else that slides into the lineup. But if he's going to have a similar ADP of like 3rd, 4th round and redraft, like to me, there's just no way that I can touch that.
And he is injury prone.
Yeah.
You know, we were saying earlier, some guys, they say you're injury prone, but it's been freak accidents. It's never a freak accident with T. It's just it's usually a hip or a hamstring
tissue stuff. Yeah.
And it takes him forever to come back. I tend to agree with you there. And I'm a Cincinnati fan. So that says a lot, I think. With T. Higgins every year, I just hope he plays 12 games.
Right. And hopefully those games are for you probably at the end of the season and not the week 1 that you guys forget that you're in a real game.
That's true.
That's true.
It is very true. Not this year, though. This year, fast start, man, right out of the gate.
Okay, Zach Taylor. We'll see what happens.
Fast start. Okay, you want me to put on my Mike Tomlin face? All right.
Pretty good.
Joe, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you when you're not on here talking with me?
Yeah, so for sure. So I am the director of social media and community for the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. So we do a lot of cool stuff over there. I do YouTube shorts. I write articles. I do a show on Friday nights with Tyler Bradley, which Sam frequently features on because he obviously knows ball. You can find me pretty much on every social media under the sun at JOEFRK. So we're just getting the I and the C out of there for EA Sports because they don't feel that my name is appropriate for the world. And if you're in the streets on Reddit, you can find me as user Joey Hustle. I'm a top 1% commenter and poster on our fantasy football. So we keep the gun hot, talking ball all the time. And it's a pleasure to be back. So yeah,
absolutely. And Joe and I will be seeing each other at the Fantasy Football Expo in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I gotta get my outfits together, man. I don't know what I'm gonna wear.
You gotta bring some Glizzy Gladiator gear with you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. You can find me at Buy and Sell You on Twitter. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll have the fabulous Queen Roxanne, I believe, will be back next week. She's starting a new job. But yeah, thanks everybody for stopping by. Sorry it's long, but I think we gave you plenty of information.
All right,
take it easy. See you next time around.
Peace.